Welcome to In the Gym. I'm your host, Mike Petrella. Today, we're going to have a roundtable discussion with some of my favorite people in the fitness industry. We have Mike Pirelli from Mike Pirelli Personal Training, Jeff Casebolt. He is a professor of biomechanics at West Texas A&M and co-owner of Dynavex. Eric McKay, who is the owner and head trainer at No Bull Strength and Performance, and Brian Dawson, who is the regional sales manager for Rogers Athletics. Thank you for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to start with a very general question. Actually, I want you to answer this first, Mike. We all believe in resistance training, and we know that it has numerous benefits, but what do you feel is the most beneficial aspect of someone getting into a strength and conditioning program?
I think one of the biggest aspects or benefits is just the overall quality of life and how it improves with strength training. Like we all have, like my personal experience, I have clients coming in and they'll lose body fat or they'll get stronger, but they leave here feeling better. They leave here more energized, they're able to do more in their day and be more successful in life. I think that's a big aspect that not a lot of people think about when they start strength training.
Right, so you're getting people in, like you said, they're feeling better, they're getting stronger. I'm going to go to you next, Jeff. You were a competitive athlete, and obviously resistance training was big for you. How did it change your quality of life, and how did it change your body?
Well, in the inception, I was tall and lanky, and so it was all about hypertrophy and trying to put on size. And then I realized that that wasn't going to happen. No matter how hard I worked. And then I got.
And what do you mean by that? Because that might be a foreign concept to some of the people that are watching.
Long-limbed and lanky, and muscle mass was not something that came easy, and it was a lot of effort. And shortly thereafter, I found Olympic style lifting, got real fascinated with it, wrote my master's thesis on it, and so kind of ran that gamut. And then as I've gotten older and I realized friends of mine, myself, breaking down, I got into more the medical aspect of it, or the health side of strength training, and looking at how that preserves quality of life.
Right. So Eric, on the health side of things, because I think that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, even when we're not doing a TV show, when we're just discussing fitness amongst ourselves. How do you feel that this is impacting the general population getting into strength training?
I think it's huge. I mean, it's kind of been talked about already with that quality of life, just waking up, as you get older, those daily aches and pains and things that you believe you have to live with because you're getting older. And it just comes with age, sore this, creaky that. It doesn't have to. As we age, we lose muscle if we're not doing something to keep it and build upon it. So every day we live, we're getting weaker unless we're getting stronger.
Right, and that's actually something I say with my clients. The body's never the same. We're getting weaker or we're getting stronger, so with just a little bit of effort, a little bit of intensity, we can move in the right direction as opposed to moving in the wrong direction. Brian, how has it affected you? I mean, you are 100% in the fitness industry, competitive bodybuilder, working for a great company that builds exercise equipment. You're going to some of the biggest, best gyms anywhere in North America. What has it done for you?
I love seeing the fact that we are providing tools to make athletes the best at what they do. You already have a very limited time frame as a student athlete, especially, that you can get the job done, so why not do it in an efficient manner with tools that are going to get you there quicker? But I think one thing we haven't really talked about would be the nutrition side of things. Mm-hmm. If you're going to put all that time and effort into working out and being in the gym, I think it takes you to another mindset when it comes to nutrition, which is obviously a big piece of the puzzle here.
Yep. So Mike, you work with all kinds of people in the population, and obviously a lot of people are coming to you, and weight loss is one of the major things. Now, we know the benefits of strength training. We know that it's important. But when people come to you asking for nutrition advice, now we're not registered dietitians, and I want to make sure that the audience is aware of that, but obviously people are coming to you for guidance. How important is that nutrition aspect to their overall results?
Well, it definitely goes hand in hand with strength training, and I almost say more important than the strength training. I always say you don't want to be digging a hole and then filling it right back up. And what I mean by that is going to the gym, putting in the work, getting stronger, but then not having nutrition up to that point, and you're basically just going to be moving up and down or staying the same and not really progressing anywhere.
Right. I know that I've seen some people that they want to lose weight, so they have to, eat X number of calories, and the actual post-workout shake or the post-workout meal that they have consumed is greatly more calories than what they would have burned in the gym. And
Right.
there's just no possible way that they could exercise enough to see any sort of visible results in terms of loss of body fat.
Well, that's just it. A lot of people, they're just unaware of what food actually is and what it's comprised of. So they think, oh, I'm having a healthy meal, but it's actually almost the opposite sometimes. So I think just bringing up education of nutrition to a lot of clients is really important.
Right. Now, Brian, I'm going to come back to you for about 2 seconds, and I'll get to you in a second, Eric. You did the competitive bodybuilding, so you've been as lean can be. But it's also a case of what Mike said. You can eat a lot of very good food that's nourishing for you, and when you're in a calorie deficit, you almost have to do it out of necessity for your overall energy.
Absolutely.
But you can put on body fat by eating very good food if it's in a surplus, or you can eat food that's not necessarily nutritionally, that's not good for you, but if you're in that deficit, you'll probably still lose body fat. You might not be healthy, but you can still lose body fat.
Sure, and it's going to affect how well your workouts go as well. What I mean by that is there's this common misconception about fats, that fat is just going to make you fat, which isn't the case at all. Fats you need to cushion your joints, to give you the energy. If you're not eating a surplus of fats, if you think about eating a lot of fat, you're not going to hold on to that fat. Your body's going to burn that before it burns the reserve, which is what adipose tissue is or fat is, and that's usually caused by eating too many carbs.
Right.
And I don't think the general public understands that.
Right. Right. You had something to add to that, Eric?
I just, as Spike and Brian were talking, I think another one is just knowing what an actual portion size is, or a serving is. Like, it tells us on every single thing that we eat, like, this is a serving size, is how much of this. But we do our serving size from what it looks like how hungry we are, rather than that. And it's been a big thing with some of my clients, is like, look at what an actual serving size is and measure it out a little bit and see, and then try and stick to that. And before you go on and eat something else, like, eat an actual servings and then see after 15-20 minutes, how do you feel.
Buy a $10 scale at your local grocery store and actually weigh your food out. That's what changed my mindset the most about eating.
I like to tell people that everyone, whether they're in the fitness community or not, whether they're training or not, should spend a week counting their calories. They don't have to do it for the rest of their lives, but if they spend a week counting their calories, it's going to give them such a greater appreciation for how much food or how much calories they're actually consuming. And I find it just kind of changes their mental mindset. And the other thing that I find is when people start going to restaurants after they're done, they realize, wow, most people, when they go to a restaurant, they get a big serving size. But to what you were talking about, Eric, that serving on the plate might be 2 or 3 actual servings. And if you eat all of that, you can easily eat more than a day's worth of calories in one meal. We're back on In the Gym, and we just finished talking about some of the challenges with nutrition. Now, Jeff, I want to ask you a little bit about your opinion on it, because your background is in biomechanics. So obviously the exercise and the nutrition go hand in hand. So I just kind of wanted your thoughts on the opinion.
Well, my contribution to the discussion was more about, it's been proven through science, through literature, through review, that the diet is more important for transformation. But I have found when you work with a human being, if I try to make exercise changes and nutritional changes simultaneously, it's too overwhelming. So out of the two, I'll choose exercise, get them moving, get them up to speed, and then they'll start to realize that diet needs to start to evolve or change, and then that's when for me, that's when the nutritional education would step in.
Right. I was actually told by Gary Jones in a conversation, who made hammer strength equipment, of course, that up to 90% of the population in the US does no form of exercise at all. So even like maybe even the show is only talking to that 10% who's actually doing something, which I thought was a staggering number. Now, Mike, again, you're in the trenches every day, dealing with clients, personal trainer. When you get somebody coming in day one, are you focusing on just one or the other, or how do you do that?
Between strength training and nutrition?
Absolutely.
Usually with a new client, I'll get them moving, get them started, get them feeling how it's supposed to feel in the gym. Then they usually come to me about nutrition.
Okay.
They realize how important it is and how hand in hand it's going to be. But the first thing you want to do is get them moving, get them comfortable,
Right.
and then bring in the nutrition afterwards. Like Jeff said, it's not going to be too much too soon.
Right. What are you seeing with your clients, Eric?
Without kind of realizing that study and literature out there, a lot of my clients will come in and they realize that they want to start moving and get stronger or whatever. And yeah, within, everyone's kind of on their own journey. So it might be a couple weeks, it might be a couple months. They've stuck with the training and now they're like, I think I need to start eating better. Sometimes they naturally start grazing differently and pulling more of this and less of that. And then it comes up to, well, do you have any resources or what do you think and how about this and that? And so then we start talking a little bit more about nutrition and I point them in the right direction if it's something outside of my knowledge base.
Now, I have found that, I've already been at this for a few years now, that I'm actually seeing mobility issues start with people younger and younger. I remember when I first started this business thinking that, it's going to be largely a 50-plus crowd. We do a lot on the rehabilitation end of things. And I'm seeing people now in their 20s that are having mobility issues and pain issues that even 10 years ago I wasn't seeing. Are you kind of finding that when you're almost getting people to design equipment there, Brian, that you're looking at these biomechanics so thoroughly, because as opposed to just having, a very strong young athlete that can almost do anything, you have to think of, hey, this person may have this knee issue, this back issue, this whatever issue.
Yeah, so we never rush a machine out to market. Everything we do, the power squat that I demonstrated, that took something like 7 years to get to market. And that's because you're out there taking it to different athletes, different size athletes, different coaching strategies, and so on and so forth, to make sure that, it's going to encompass all these things that we want to in this one machine. And there's been an epidemic lately, I would say within the past 10 years, and you see it in the NFL, the NBA with all these Achilles tears, ACL tears would always be a thing in professional athletics. But now you look and these kids are younger and younger. You're getting kids in 6th, 7th grade tearing ACLs and whatnot. And so absolutely, that gets back to mobility.
Yeah. Jeff, you're a resident expert on biomechanics, again, a professor of it. What is your thoughts on mobility in athletes and mobility in the general population and how biomechanics are playing a role in this?
So as Brian was speaking, the first place I went was overhead athletes. So when we look at baseball, softball, swimming, water polo, we're seeing upper cross syndrome. You're seeing the shoulders rounded. You're seeing how those forces are dissipating down the system. You're seeing an influx of Little League elbow. You're seeing an influx of Tommy John surgery exponentially over the last probably decade. You're seeing these numbers, these transformations. You're also seeing that part of the mobility part of it is we're not actually allowing these athletes to recover properly as well, and they're not letting that tissue heal. And it's not about the stimulus, it's about recovery, stimulus then recovery. So for me, the one area that I'm paying most attention to it is actually the overhead athlete. In general population, I just think the sedentary lifestyle is really starting to take effect on the way people sit, move. We're losing basic mobility, the texting, the computers and whatnot. And I think you're seeing that neck shoulder complex is starting to evolve. The weight of the head becomes heavier as the head moves forward, and it's starting to affect the posterior chain of how we move in general. And it goes all the way from top down and bottom up, and you're starting to see kind of how these break down and strength is not supporting the system as well as it could.
Right. We're going to go to break, but we're going to be back with these great guests in a minute. Thank you for coming back for In the Gym. We actually just finished off with a very important topic, which is recovery from exercise, recovery from the actual stimulus of working out. Brian, with your bodybuilding background, perhaps you could elaborate on that.
Bodybuilding is where I first fell in love with sleep. When you're in that much of a calorie deficit on a daily basis, you have to sleep basically as much as possible without ruining your life. You have no social life. That goes without saying, or it takes a serious hit when you're bodybuilding. But sleep is a very underrated part of the recovery process. Even for an everyday person, if you're going to be lifting 2, 3, 4 times a week. So I know you guys encourage your clients to do this, but when I was doing that, and I still do it with my workouts, I'll keep a log, and it goes in as much detail as how I'm feeling that day, what time of day I'm working out, what my diet was like the day before, or even up to that day if I'm training later in the day. I would leave out things like what my weight is, just because that
Fluctuates so much.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't really mean, that's not a direct measure to me. But those types of things bring back to, okay, if I'm going to take this seriously, I can't be out there eating a whole pizza the night before I'm going to go train, because that just ruins my training session the next day. If I'm paying this money to go get the most out of this, I should help myself outside of the gym to be able to get the most out of that training.
Right. Jeff, do you have something to add to this?
Well, the formula or the way I look at it is just stimulus, recovery, adaptation. And if you're adding a stimulus and you're not allowing for proper recovery, you're not going to get adaptation. And so proper recovery, the way that I understand it, is quality of sleep, proper nutrition, and plenty of hydration. And so what we've seen is, if you take something as simple as sleep, injury rates go up if you're not getting quality rest. And to support this, the NBA started looking at research to help their first and second round draft horses to be more games per season. And they found there were 4 things that they paid attention to: sugary drink, quality of sleep, lack of quality sleep due to blue light screens in the evening, number of games played before 18th birthday, and then the last one was looking at proper strength training and how gaining strength to body weight ratio was more beneficial than skill acquisition in a weight room, along those lines.
Right. Now, Mike, I know that when you have your clients, you are keeping logs of every workout they do, all the sets and all the reps. What do you feel is the most important reason to do that, and how are you tracking their progress and making sure that they're making progress?
Well, that's just it, to see if they're making progress. You get a client in, they perform the workout, they come back, let's say next week, and you do similar exercises, and everything is down. Their weights are down, their reps were down. Well, why? Why did that happen? Then you start talking to them, they find out, oh, I had a bad sleep last night, or I had poor nutrition, and it's all interconnected. But that's why you want to keep those tracking, because then you're kind of working out like this. You don't know what's going on. You're blinded.
Right, right. I've always found that the most advanced part of strength training, and I want to get your opinion on this as well, Eric, is that we can look at this as a barometer of our overall health. So what I tell people is, especially, and I have some clients who smoke and I wish they wouldn't, if you had one smoke and you instantly developed an adverse effect or a cancer, no one would smoke. But because it takes so long for that negative repercussion to happen, we kind of keep pushing it down the road. But when we do proper strength training on, a week by week basis, or, for people who train more often, a day or every other day basis, we can realistically see, well, are we getting better? Is what we did the last 24 hours, 48 hours, week, whatever the time is in between, has what we've done been better for our health? Because if it is, we're going to show stronger. We are going to be a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I think, the kind of unfortunate thing about society is that, like, let me see it now
Yeah.
aspect. So trying to help my clients understand that, you didn't get to where you're at overnight, and we're not going to be able to fix it overnight. We got to take some time, and the sleep, the nutrition, minimizing stress. I've been spending the last couple of years a lot of time just helping them breathe. And if I can get them into a quality belly breathing at the end of their workout or whatever, to drop from that sympathetic state down into more of a neutral, closer parasympathetic, and relax. And we'll use that. I'll tell them, help them. And it sounds weird helping someone breathe right. I breathe every day. But helping them get into a quality of belly breathing and tell them, okay, tonight I want you to practice 20 belly breaths.
Right.
And it's funny how many times they're asleep before they get to 20.
Right.
Wow, I fell asleep really fast last night. That was some of the best, and before they know it, it's their habit. They're getting good sleep, and then their nutrition improves, their workouts improve, and,
Would you
something
say
always
that
happens.
a proper strength training program helps with the mindset for other things in life?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you can handle a good intense workout, and I tell my clients, athletes, and people all the time, I said, do you realize what you just accomplished? Do you realize what we just did, and how you can take that into your day to day, go to work, and there's something that your boss presents to you, and you don't think you can do it. You just pushed 500 on the hip press for 20 reps. How can you not get that paperwork or this thing done? I never really thought about it like that. Yeah, but it all works together. Absolutely.
Again, I think everyone on this panel believes in the power of resistance training, of strength training. Jeff, you want something to add to that?
As a professor, one of the things I came in, and not really my area of expertise, but mine was what happens to cognition with physical activity. And the literature is stacked. It's very well documented. It started with aerobic, and now it's actually moving into strength training. It's when the data is collected, but we're actually showing through just kind of quizzes and different things that we do in class that if you have a bout of physical activity, how it changes cognition or retention of information or the ability to do better on your exams, which is counterintuitive to what's going on in the States, because physical education only exists in less than 6% of all high schools from 9 through 12. So we know it works, it's there, but we're eliminating it from the system, and it's a travesty in my opinion.
Guys, I want to thank you all for being on the show. I hope all of the people that are watching this were able to get a good amount of information for it. I hope it helps them in the gym, and I hope it helps their quality of life.